finances. "Maybe it is unprofitable," replied Sviazhsky. "This only proves that either I'm a poor manager, or I sink my capital to increase the revenue." "Oh, revenue!" cried Levin with horror. "Maybe there is such a thing as revenue in Europe, where the land is better for the labor spent on it. But with us, the more labor spent on it, the worse it is. That is because it exhausts it. So there is no revenue." "How, no revenue? It is a law." "Then we are no exceptions to the law. The word renta, revenue, has no clearness for us, and explains nothing, but rather confuses. No, tell me how the doctrine of revenue can be—" "Won't you come have some curds? Masha, send us some curds or some raspberries," said Sviazhsky to his wife. "Raspberries have lasted unusually late this year." And with his usual jovial disposition of soul, Sviazhsky got up and went out, evidently assuming that the discussion was ended, while for Levin it seemed that it had only just begun. Levin was now left with the old proprietor, and continued to talk with him, endeavoring to prove to him that all the trouble arose from the fact that we did not try to understand our laborers' habits and peculiarities. But the old proprietor, like all people accustomed to think alone and for himself, found it difficult to enter into the thought of another, and clung firmly to his own opinions. He declared that the Russian muzhik was a pig and loved swinishness, and that it needed force or else a stick to drive him out of his swinishness. But we are such liberals that we have suddenly swapped off the 1,000-year-old stick for these lawyers and jails, where the good-for-nothing, stinking muzhik gets fed on good soup and has his pure air by the cubic foot. "Why," asked Levin, wishing to get back to the question, "do you think that it is impossible to reach an equilibrium which will utilize the forces of the laborer and render them productive?" "That will never come about with the Russian people. There is no force," replied the proprietor. "Why, could not new conditions be found?" asked Sviazhsky, who had been eating his curds and smoking a cigarette, and now approached the two disputants. "All the needful forms are ready for use, and well learned. That relic of barbarism, the primitive commune where each member is responsible for all, is falling to pieces of its own weight. The right of holding serfs has been abolished. Now there remains only free labor, and its forms are at hand, the day laborer, the journeyman, the ordinary farmer. And you can't get rid of this." "But Europe is discontented with these forms." "Yes, and perhaps discontent will find new ones, and will progress probably." "This is all I say about that," said Levin. "Why should we not seek for them on our side?" "Because it would be much the same as our pretending to invent new methods of constructing railways. Our methods are all ready. All we have to do is to apply them." "But if they do not suit us? If they are hurtful?" Levin insisted. And again he saw the frightened look in Sviazhsky's eyes. "Well, this. We throw up our caps, we follow wherever Europe leads. All this I know, but tell me, are you acquainted with all that is going on in Europe about the organization of labor?" "No, I know very little." "This question is now occupying the best minds in Europe. Schultz Delitz and his school, then all this prodigious literature on the labor question, the tendencies of Lassalle, the most radical of all of them, the Mühlhausen organization, this all is a fact, you surely must know." "I have an idea of it, but it's very vague." "No, you only say so. You know all this as well as I do. I don't set up to be a professor of social science, but these things interest me. And I assure you, if they interest you, you should go into them." "But where do they lead you?" "Beg pardon?" The two proprietors got up, and Sviazhsky, again arresting Levin in his disagreeable habit of looking into the inner chambers of his mind, went out to bid his guests good bye. CHAPTER 28.